Welcome in everyone to the weekly reading. This is a combination of using tarot as a tool to tap in and also getting intuitive messages. I also talk a little bit at the beginning about the astrology aspects this week because that definitely has a huge impact on our experience. It can help us get ahead of things, get some awareness, and work with the energies. And that is the point of astrology. It really is a tool and a language that helps us better understand ourselves and the physical experience we're in. And there's a lot of things happening, right, from an energetic standpoint that are impacting us through our lives. And if we can have that awareness, we can better understand why we're experiencing something, why we're feeling a certain way, and like I said, get ahead of things to create more ease in our lives. And if we have more awareness, we can definitely, have a better understanding about what is going on and why. So this is a big week. Specifically, I want to talk about the full moon in Aquarius, right, which is happening on Wednesday the 29th. There's some we're still looking at the cradle activation. I talked a lot about the cradle or the basket where these outer planets are creating this if you look at a chart, it looks like a basket. And that happened about a week ago. So mid-July. So go take a look at my mid-July readings for the weeklies, and you'll see me talking about that specifically because just because that happened mid-July, since it is the outer planets, that's going to have a slow unfoldment, and we're going to feel the impact of that moving forward for some time. But we have a lot more this week that's going to be activating that energy more. So wanted to talk about that specifically. I know once I post this, we're already into the week, but this energy is going to kind of impact us for some time in the next week here. So I think it will be helpful for everyone. So we can go ahead and get started. Thank you all for joining in. If you're new, welcome. And if you are joining back in, thanks for supporting me in my channel. So I'd like to put in more intuitive messages that I'm getting to see what I'm being told from a higher perspective as well. And we had 3 cards fly out, so I'm going to take those. Before I get started, as usual, take a look at the description. I have an Etsy shop where I hand make stone bracelets to use as energy tools. And also I am a metaphysical author, so I have 2 books out there that I think are, especially at this time, would be really helpful. They really are. There's a series, and it's book 1 and 2, and it really is around creating your heaven on earth. All right, so let's see what's happening. We're closing out the month of July, which July was that big month. We have had a lot of big astrological things happening. I don't know how, let me know how July has been for you all. You can never really have expectations around, what's going to happen for us individually or collectively once we know some big astrological aspects are coming. I do feel it wasn't for me, and I'd be interested to see what you guys are experiencing, but for me, it still was a lot of inner transformation going on. There was a lot of downloads, aha moments, puzzle pieces coming together and giving me a really big perspective of things. Really making a lot more decisions about the type of energy I want around me and in my life. So that's been there's been a lot of that. It's been a lot of, but at the same time, interesting enough, there's been a lot going on externally for me. More specifically around, my connections, my, friendship groups, things like that. There's been a lot of action there. So I guess it all depends too on your birth chart and your sign and kind of where that energy is impacting you. So, okay, let's see here. So this is going to be a combo, right? So let's get more into the astrology. So the key highlights here, we did have an activation on Monday, the 27th, that cradle or basket activation. So the sun is still actively forming aspects with a couple of the different outer planets. So we have the sun opposing Pluto, we have the sun trining Neptune, and the sun creating a sextile to Uranus. So that is the cradle, but again, that's being activated still. So there's a lot of, transformative energy there. We have that Pluto energy. So transmuting our fears, that's a big one. Transmuting our fears, facing our fears, but moving forward and doing the thing that we fear. Because there's a lot of empowerment energy right there. Courage, empowerment, taking the lead. And definitely spiritual awakenings happening. So, you might have seen a lot of people, especially if they haven't fully awakened, in July, there was a lot of people going through it because they are being faced with an awakening. And a lot of times, right, for us to go through that awakening, especially people who are really closed off to certain things, they have to be forced to see things in a new way. And a lot of times that can come up through challenge and suffering and things really hitting ahead in people's lives. And especially around emotional transformation too. So then Wednesday is the big day, 29th. We have the full moon in Aquarius. But the second piece to the 29th, it's all happening on the same day. We have Jupiter conjunct the sun and also trining Neptune that day. So this is a potent day. That full moon energy, which is also, all of that is also expanding that basket energy, the cradle activation. There's a lot of kind of a theme here, especially with the full moon around abundance, love, nurturing energy, with that Jupiter in Leo piece as well. And it's a great time. Jupiter expands things. It makes things easier. So there's going to be a lot about exploration, new horizons for people. Also, there's a focus on travel. So this could be a week that's triggering you to want to travel. It'd be a good time to book travel, or you may already have set some travel up and that's happening soon. I'm just checking my notes here. Especially that sun conjunct Jupiter is very lucky energy as well. So this could pop up as opportunities coming up. There's definitely confidence boosts this week. Being recognized. That could be at work, in relationships. Taking risks that are going to pay off. And you're going to be more visible in a positive way. People are going to see you more positively this week. So with that Leo energy too, Jupiter's in Leo, it really is supportive of self-expression, creative endeavors, creativity, getting inspired to do different things this week that would, be major things you should definitely do or focus on. And this is a good time for, starting businesses or doing entrepreneurship things or following your heart, just like following the leaps of faith, following the inspirations coming to you, the intuitive hits about, I need to do this or that. And there's a lot of spiritual energy this week, so it's great, especially for spiritual things like, if you're trying to get more into the spiritual space, metaphysically, getting downloads, getting messages from your higher selves, and, just going public with different things. So that Aquarius full moon, this, full moons are culminations, right? It's like closing things out. It's also looking at like, what do I want to remove? What's blocking my way? And with Aquarius, that's kind of focuses more on broader groups, community, friendship groups, family, and breakthroughs. There's Aquarius governs like technology and social media, and also the future vision. Like, what do I want to create? And also it's going to free us from anything that's blocking us as well, especially added that full moon. So you might have big turning points, big aha moments, really being able to see things, like I said, that need to be removed or you need to change, and things like that. So I think there's a lot of beautiful energy. So again, taking advantage of that. One thing here, some other things to note, Venus squares Mars on the 29th as well. So this may be a little bit of resistant energy when it comes to love or even finances. So just watch there. Tension or passions can rise a bit. So just be cognizant of that. And it could just be the energy. So don't try and, do anything big or make big decisions in regards to relationships or finances. Going back to why this is a big week, again, we have that major planet basket happening. There's a lot of activation there. We are approaching August eclipse season as well. So that's something to mark. The energy is starting to build to eclipse season. So that's all we are as well adding to this. So some great things, great energies this week. So, just go with the flow as usual. All right, so let's get to the cards. So we have 3 cards that flew out from the Moonology deck. We have Believe in the Impossible, the blue moon. This is definitely a week. July has been just a month in general of believing in the impossible. I would even say this whole year of 2026. We are awakening at mass levels here. And part of awakening is realizing and seeing what can really be that maybe you were closed off to before because of your belief systems, because of, your fears, because of your traumas. It blocked you from really seeing that there's no potential. The potential is limitless. And the impossible can be made possible. And this obviously is true for yourself, but this is also true about things in our reality where we don't want to believe. Maybe even the dark aspects of our reality. And that some of these things, because we want to believe in a storyline, we want to believe in a template of life that we were ingrained with since children, and it served us. It served us in the sense of it was comfortable. It provided us a sense of safety, even though it was a false sense of safety. I talk about that a lot. And it made life a little easier because you didn't have to make big changes. And that's a big thing when it comes to the collective on a broader scale, or a country or governments, or, to make changes across a collective or a big group of people, it's going to take a lot more energy. And a lot of times it asks of us to make changes on an individual level in our lives. And a lot of people, that just sounds like a lot of work, right? And it could also come with it some difficult decisions that aren't going to be easy. But for us to awaken and reach new levels of potential, sometimes we have to cross through that bridge, and that bridge can be a little difficult, right, till we get on the other side. But the other side is going to be amazing. Do we want to stay stuck on the side that's not great? Or are we going to face our fears? Are we going to do the hard work to cross the bridge to get to something 100 times better? Nothing will come of this situation. Void of course, moon. And then expect powerful change. So believe in the impossible and expect powerful change. I mean, these are huge, big energies here. So what I'm seeing with this nothing will come of this situation is I feel this like settling energy. Like these cards are saying don't settle. Because big changes are happening from an energetic standpoint. So don't just accept what is. And don't just, this is also to me of, too, there could be situations you're dealing with that are maybe, maybe it's causing anxiety or fear to come up because you don't necessarily know how this is going to unfold, or there's some unknowns here. But I think it's going to work out, but it may ask of you, right, to do something different, to get out of your comfort zone, to not follow the same path, do not do the same things. I think right now people are being asked to make big changes in their daily life, in their routines, in the way they view things. So for example, this is just coming to me, but let's say health, right? Our health. That's been really highlighted this year. A lot of people their health issues or maybe are kind of blowing up a bit, symptoms are getting worse, or they're realizing that they keep following the same paths to try and get help or to figure out what's going on or to get some sort of, relief, and it hasn't been working. Or people have had new health symptoms pop up this year out of the blue. And to me, it's not really true health issues. Yes, they are, but I feel like a lot of this has to do with why this is happening. For one, recommend you read Your Body Keeps the Score. It's a book that is really going to help you gain some perspective. And this is really tied to shifting our awareness and our belief systems and shifting out of the old templates, the old mindsets, especially around health, and that we can heal the body. But we can't heal the body by taking another medication or taking another pharmaceutical offering. That may be controversial to those of you watching, but that's another thing. If that triggers you, awareness is to, instead of just throwing darts at the person who said some information or said something that triggers you, this is about reflecting back to yourself and sitting with it. Like, why does this trigger me? And usually because it contradicts a belief system in yourself. And that belief system somehow gives you some sense of safety, of comfort, of stability. And it serves you, right? It serves you for some reason. But that's what this, especially July and this week is asking of you, is these activations. It's seeing things in a new way. It's believing that anything is possible. If you believe that you can heal, then you can heal. If you believe that this diagnosis or this disease that you've been labeled with, that you're just forever going to have that, that's a belief system. And then you're not working with the magical, beautiful body that has all the capabilities to change. And it doesn't matter how old you are or what health condition you're in. The big thing is the shift in the energy and how we work with who we are holistically, right? The body, the mind, the emotional body, all of that. So, a lot there, but that's what's coming for that. Let's pull a couple, let's see, I'm going to go to these oracles first. Okay, so a lot, I'm going to take the two on the top. Well, maybe 3. Okay. Purification. Purification, truth. Exactly spot on with what I said, love. So the truth is really coming to surface here. And it's believing in and identifying with the new truth that contradicts the old truth. There's a new truth that you are finding in your experience based on, whatever you're dealing with. The unfoldment of 2026 is unveiling a new truth that's more in line with a higher vibrational energy, that's more aligned with your authenticity, that's more in line with increasing your life force energy. A truth that's going to serve you better holistically. And part of this is purifying ourselves of the old. That involves a lot of things, just like I said. It's a purification of mindset, of energy, of frequency, of belief systems, of physical things, right? Purifying ourselves of people, places, and things that don't align with us anymore. And at the center of this, we have love. So as we purify, as we shift our truth, this is what opens up. This is what's available to us, a new level of frequency that's more aligned with source and the highest vibration of love. And that's going to come in. And that's healing. And that's where we heal our body. That's where we attract more relationships that more are in line with energy that's going to allow us to bloom, to blossom, to nourish us. And that's key, nourishment. How are we nourishing ourselves, our body, nourishing our minds, nourishing our heart, our soul, our emotional body, and physically nourishing ourselves too? All right, let's dive into some tarot cards. These are the travel tarot. What is more detail on the message? 5 of Pentacles in reverse. So we are moving out of this old. And I'm hearing this. This is what keeps us stuck. We've been stuck in this 5 of Pentacles energy. This is a card of a lack of abundance, a lack of fulfillment, a lack of an experience in the physical that, right, exactly what I just said, nourishes us, fulfills us, where we feel disconnected. This is definitely not a nourishing energy, but we're moving out of that, which I love. King of Wands, this is our empowerment. This is our passion, our inspiration. And this is the activation this week that's going to help us feel more in this King of Wands energy, where we feel more confident, we feel more ourselves, and that we're able to express ourselves and be ourselves and put ourselves out there. This is a good week for business or your work, or, just achievement, or your creations. And 7 of Swords. The first word I heard with the 7 of Swords is escapism. Escapism. And what I'm really feeling like is kind of the message and the key guidance here is around being our authentic selves. It's aligning with our true selves, no matter the consequences, no matter what our mind is telling us. Because there's something here about our mind is telling us, like, that ties back to self-esteem and thinking, like, what are people going to think of me? How are they going to respond to me? But the King of Wands, doesn't care about that. The King of Wands is doing his thing. He's expressing himself. He's building a life based on what aligns with him. And that's why he's successful. And that's why he's abundant. And he is the king that really uses the energy, this higher self. He uses his the frequencies to create in the physical world. And the Seven of Swords can be is not a little, it's like distorted energy that can be lying to ourselves. And that's where I'm saying there's this escapism of trying to escape ourselves. Why are you trying to escape ourselves? Why would we even do that? It's because we feel like if we are ourselves, for some reason this was ingrained, as a child or even in a past life, is if I'm myself, I'm going to be judged. If I'm myself, people aren't going to like me. They're going to abandon me. They're going to reject me. So you're constantly trying to escape from yourself. But what you're actually doing is disconnecting yourself from self, which is this Five of Pentacles energy. And so what happens is then this is all going on internally. So then what do? You manifest experiences and magnetize people that reflect this back to you. So that's, magnetizing people that also feel like they can't be themselves. And so they're constantly putting on a show or wearing a mask or what they care about is the image instead of the true person. And that's obviously people that we're getting away from. Let's see. Let's get 3 more here. The Fool. Yeah, we are leaving this behind. This is like awakening. It's just coming to me like awakening from a bad dream and realizing like, wow, like life can be this good. And starting a whole new path here with the Fool. King of Wands, Judgment. Yes, big energy here. So this is Judgment Day. This is a crossroads, making new decisions. Obviously, to be the Fool and start a new path, you have to make an active decision. And this is also about taking a leap of faith or taking a risk and doing something different, completely different. And it's going to result in good things for you. Good things. So let's see, Seven of Swords, the Star. It's almost like you're the very kind of, this to me is like the way you viewed life and the way you try to strategically move through life. And this is very unconscious for most people, right? How you approach life, how you navigate life has almost been, it's through your mind, because we have swords here, and that's a mindset. And so it's almost like approaching a video game, right? And you're trying to logically, through the mind, figure it out. But that is what has created this distortion. Because obviously how you're viewing life has created distortion for you. And it's almost like your mind is lying to you. And that can be hard to accept. Like, my mind's not lying to me. But this is the old, very traditional 3D way of living life, is that we believe what we see. And that's where we need to shift out of and realize we have the card of truth. We have believe in the impossible here and purification. So it's like we're purifying the old beliefs, which the key one here that I know is a huge one for most of the collective is like, I only believe what I see. That's a very limited mindset. And that creates a lot of challenge. It also creates a lot of blocks. And the biggest thing is it's blocking you from love. It's blocking you from reaching your highest potential. It's blocking you from the offerings of the universe. They're infinite. They're really infinite. And when we say we only believe what we see, we're not connecting to the infinite energies, the infinite possibilities that it's our right. Being part of Source, being connected, and being divine beings, sovereign beings here. And the Star here is saying, it's almost like you're escaping the very thing you want. Which is, you could say like that, well, that seems, seems dumb or why would anyone do that? But honestly, most people are doing that unconsciously. You are blocking yourselves from the very thing that would be your greatest dream, your greatest desire. Because for one, you're not allowing yourself to believe that it's possible. So there's something about spinning that story, and it's like you're finally awakening to the story that you've been spinning, and that it doesn't have to be true anymore, right? Wow, this is a pretty big reading this week. I love the messaging here. So you're definitely being faced with these two new aspects. You're faced with the old you, the old beliefs, and then you're being faced with new options. Hey, maybe I could believe this instead. And what does that mean for me? And how does that change how I show up to life? And this is the energy that's going to unfold for you once you make the decision to believe the new, to go down the new. Is life can be a lot more easier. Life can be a lot more fulfilling. I'm now seeing the more infinite possibilities and experiences now in this new perspective. And it's beautiful. And wow, there's so much to experience, and you start seeing life in a different way. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining in. I hope this helps. Yeah, take care. Enjoy the week, and I will see you in the next reading. Bye for now.